I'm a 3M employee, as you can probably guess. So we got a few in the audience out there. I'm a product development specialist, so I have experience bringing products to market, and I help people inside of 3M to realize their own creative visions and creative ideas into products that the business could effectively commercialize. When I'm not doing that, I'm a CoCreateX catalyst, meaning that I and my friends, we work very hard to help other people realize their creative dreams by tapping the power of their communities. And what I mean by that specifically is we seek to enable every person to be successful by being who they are and by doing what they love. And so we have a strong cultural focus. So a little bit about culture. Culture is what you're doing when no one's watching typically. So here's my immediate family in Minnesota. My fiance Jill, and when she's not crushing it as an international businesswoman, you can often find her in the yard with the horses or the bocce balls or gardening outdoors. Our dog Abby does a lot of eating of toilet paper, and Bitsy on the right is absolutely positively afraid of her shadow. So my natural culture, and it's a little hard to see on here, but throughout the course of my life, I've spent probably the majority of my time learning about and collecting mechanisms. And so I've built a number of very interesting products. This is a vertically expandable spinal fusion device, which is one of my favorites. But the thing that I'll share with everybody tonight is that when it comes to creating products for people that really create value for them, it requires an enormous amount of integrity. And because we're running a little late, I'll maybe spare you the story of creating this product. But what I will say is that to create a good product that really creates value for other people, you have to be enormously honest with yourself, and you have to demonstrate an enormous amount of care for the people for whom you're trying to create that product, especially when it's a medical product, something that people's lives will depend upon. So my personal culture, in addition to collecting mechanisms that I can use to help people, I believe that an investment in my community is an investment in myself, and I use my success as a means to support others. And as a CoCreateX catalyst, that's very much what we do. So when I have had the opportunity to realize various types of business success and certain sources of liquidity, instead of retiring or doing something that was more self-oriented, I chose to very truly invest in my community. So I built, with the help of all my friends, a machine shop, an engineering laboratory, and we did this all in our house in St. Paul. So we have a machine shop, an engineering laboratory. We've actually recently put in a sound stage. We have bedrooms for people. And what's novel about this is that we maintain it as free for people. We put combination locks on our doors, and I think about 30 people at least, have access to our house. And the reason why that's so important to me is because that enables anybody, regardless of their background, to create the things that they're most passionate about. That invention that you've had throughout the course of your entire life, that if only just existed, right, you'd have the ability to improve your life, and you might have the ability to improve other lives. So here, you can see obviously people working in the environment. This is one of our early shots, and now we have much more equipment and many more things that people can use to create whatever they're interested in. But it's really very much founded on a culture of diversity and of an eagerness to help others and say thank you. And so these are actually just a few things that we did even in the last month. So we are now the proud owners of one of the largest telescopes in Minnesota. So we have people come over and use it to look at the moon. Audrey's been running a book club in the soundstage in the basement. Our friend Bob Merriam of Merriam-Webster's Dictionary actually lives in the Providence, Rhode Island area. And we went out to the Wireless and Steam Museum, where they have a number of original Nikola Tesla, coils and spark generators. And then actually he's talking right now about an original Thomas Edison steam engine that has 3 different compression chambers that he's so excited about. So we just recently supported Beta.mn with a great intellectual property event. And then we're always happy to have the Green Girls, who are a young women's robotics team, always in our garage, building their robot. And they're about 6 days, I think, from their deadline. So they're very, very, very busy. And then I think actually just down at the end, I mean, one of the things that's wonderful about, having a fantastic community of people is I just discovered that one of my friends that I grew up with was one of the primary inventors of the Microsoft HoloLens. And so the value of, getting people together, on the basis of their interests, as, we are this evening, the result is that you discover things about people that you never would have known. And it can be enormously inspiring. I mean, we have, a whole bunch of people who are interested in AR and VR and who are making, lots of new products. And, just to all of a sudden realize that amongst us, right, one of our friends has created like one of the greatest, VR products. So, just to kind of sum up, our culture is very much about helping people and inviting them to say thank you. That's actually our business model. That's our flagship product, right, is the help that our community members, provide to others and the thanks that, people generally speaking give back. So if you'd like to, be in touch with our community, to help and say thank you, the result is that you can find us at CoCreateX.com and you can click through to our community. Or you can just find us, CoCreateX Catalysts on Facebook. But I did want to share with everybody just this evening, one maybe personal story, really why it is that I'm doing this. So when I was a little kid, I was about 5 years old. My dad was a theoretical math major from MIT and widely regarded amongst his friends as being an intelligent person. So people would always ask him questions or tell him stories about what they were struggling with, and he would do his best to provide answers. So one night, this adult was telling my dad about the difficulty that he was having transmitting information from the fuselage of an airplane basically out to the wing. And so, at 5 years old, I said, well, you could have a hose and you could put a mirrored surface inside that hose and you could shine light down it, just like, Thomas Edison and the dot dot dash of the Morse code. Anyway, so this gentleman, right, this, older adult, he said to me, he said, Nick, on the basis of the fact that you're a kid, there's absolutely no way, right, that could ever be, a thing. And, sure enough, I was 5 years old, and I didn't know that fiber optics, already existed, but, certainly it could have been because it absolutely positively was. And so, I said, well, that's like preposterous. I said, all these kids like, Albert Einstein and, Thomas Edison, and I just like rattled off a whole list of people who had made really meaningful inventions as children. And, I said, so they did it, so I could do it too. And he actually said to me, he said, Nick, you're no Thomas Edison. Which I replied, how could you even say that? Even Thomas Edison's parents, didn't know he was Thomas Edison when he was a kid, right? I mean, how could they possibly know? And so, the reason why I'm so excited about having built, an environment that we've basically discovered through an enormous amount of trial and effort to maintain is free is so that literally any kid anywhere with an idea, right, can either, find us on Facebook, or if, he or she can make it to our house, right, we can help him or her, realize that creative dream. And, people's creative dreams are, no less important when they're children, and they're no less important when they're adults. And I really strongly believe that everybody should have the opportunity to create the things that they're passionate about, because there's nothing more, generally speaking, genuine than the idea of creating something new to solve a problem for somebody who you care about. So, that's a little bit about CoCreateX. I had a couple other stories, but I'll save those for next time. And if anyone would like to ask any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.